What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Leveled Up Life podcast. It's Branamier, Courtney in the studio. My man, Paul McClain. Let's go. We are, dude. I feel like we haven't been here.
It's been
some
a while,
time,
dude.
some time, but good thing we got content stored up, stacked up, giving people value in every area of their life that matters the most: faith, family, fitness, finance, and franchise. Today is no different. Our heart is to pour into you, man, what's been poured into us, and so hopefully we can give to you out of some overflow of just some life experience that we've, with kids and business and life, and we've experienced some things, we've expected some things. We want to talk about that today. Really kind of this thought of expectation bias. The life that you expect is the life that you experience. And so most people think that life is shaped by like their effort or their opportunity or, the circumstance they were placed in. But long before any of that, it's like, what did you expect your life to be, and have you experienced that on the other end? And so I want to talk about that today. We'll break it down, and I think it's been good.
It is, man. I'm grateful to be back in the studio. This always fills me up, and I feel like it has been a while. We actually did. I think last week we dropped a throwback because we weren't in the studio, and so good to be back live with you guys. Let me just tell you this: I'm going to give you the right expectation for this podcast. You are going to take something that is going to dramatically change your life and take it to the next level. I want you to build that expectation. I want you to have that anticipation going into this, because this topic, man, it is life bearing. It's life altering. A lot of times you are one level away or one step away because of an expectation issue, this expectation bias. And so we're going to cover it, guys. Make sure to share, like, subscribe. This is going to impact you, I believe, in a big, big way. And so the one story I want to kick off, and then we'll unpack it. It was a story I read, and I thought it illustrated it so well. And then we'll tie it into how this applies for everybody's life. The story goes like this. It's an actual real study. I think it's Duckhorn University. They do this study in the late 1970s. I know it's
sounds legit,
but it is. It is what it is. Late 19. You guys fact check me.
Yeah.
It's close to that name. 1970s. They have this study. Okay. Right. They get these two groups of people. The first group of people, they say, we're going to put a scar in your face, like we're going to paint it on. They've got all these facial artists to do it, and they do it, and they show them in the mirror this huge scar, and it's a big scar. It's like, it's face altering, like big scar. So now they say, we're going to have you go out. You're going to talk to strangers and kind of get back and report to us how this conversation goes. This other group, they say, you're not going to have a scar. You're just going to go out and talk to strangers and tell us how the conversation went.
Yeah.
So they do this. They send them out. The first group comes back with the scars. They say, how did the conversation go? And they sent them out one by one. They come back. They say, the way that conversation went was like, it was kind of intense. It was cold, distant, and just wasn't good, Yeah. They say, okay, next group comes back. And they say, how'd it go? Each individual says, it went fine. It was good. It was great. It was fine. Now, you would think that's like a story or a study that would kind of justify the concept of prejudice or, discrimination or whatever, right? But if you go back and rewind it, what took place is before the group with the scar went out, the makeup artist said, come in, we want to make sure we put this cream over the scar because we don't want it to crack. So people are like, that makes sense. Fine, go ahead. So while they're putting this cream over their scar, they actually peeled the scar off. So when the people went out there, they didn't have a scar on their face. Right. And every single one of them in the study had a very similar response as far as what they had. And that basically breaks down, and the question is, when you go out and have conversations with your company, with your family, with your team, what scars are you bringing into that conversation that's getting you this evidence, this result, this outcome that is produced from something that isn't even true? They didn't even have the scar.
Right.
But because they believed it, this expectation, it started to lead to everything else. The expectation led to confirmation bias, right? Like we believe that we're going to be treated differently because of this. And so now when they're talking to this person, and the person says something, instead of them seeing it in a certain way, like maybe it was just like
in the way it was intended.
They see it as like, oh, that was kind of cold and shallow. And because they see it as cold and shallow, they therefore respond in such a way. And now it starts to lead the conversation like that. And I think about that in the context of many things, but even like from sales closing calls, like a lot of times an agent, if they expect like this lead is going to be like irritated and it's kind of a sketchy lead, it ain't a good one. Well, then when they're communicating with this lead, instead of, them hearing the client's like interest and need, and the client might respond a certain way, they don't hear it as like, oh, they're just asking a question. They hear it as, oh, this is a massive objection, and they're not interested, right?
Yeah.
And then, therefore, it changes the way they hear the client, so their physiology, right, which is like the placebo. They now hear it differently as far as the sound of what they're saying, and then, therefore, they go out and they behave back differently, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So all these things we've heard about, placebo, self-fulfilling prophecy, confirmation bias, it all comes from expectation.
Yeah, very good.
It's like, what do you expect?
I mean, I'm just processing that because I'm thinking, well, number one, where do you get your expectations from, right? And it's typically from past experiences or things that you've been told that are true or untrue about who you are.
Yeah, that's the scars, right?
Yeah, and then you take on that identity, you take on the scar into life, and man, what you believe to be true, the scar is not even true at all, or what someone spoke over you is not even true at all, but yet you've taken on this identity and it affects your whole outcome. And I think, number one, you just got to realize, like, you probably got some scars on your face or, on your body that were put there by people who were scarred themselves, right? And so I think it comes back to having the right identity spoken over you or believed or anchored in, to know that you're not your scar. Because the truth is, like, we probably do have some scars and some things that we've messed up during life. And so it gives us that confirmation, like, see, I am that way because look at what I've done, kind of thing. And I think that, man, if there was a cream where you can kind of wipe off and take off your scar, I think all of us probably need that. And the truth is, like, man, that's available by having the right identity. For us, it'd be in our faith, right? The cream, or we would say the blood, not to get too spiritual, like wipes away the scars or the sins or the mistakes that we made and gives us confidence to then walk in the true identity. But the truth is, like, that's easier said than done. Yeah. And so I'm thinking about my kids and having conversations with them as I'm trying to navigate fatherhood, right? And dealing with 12-year-olds, and I mean, you know better than most how difficult it is to navigate the teenage years. And I'm talking to the boys and talking about expectations, because oftentimes, like my older son, just to be transparent, like, it's super difficult every morning, right? I remember, like, when Peyton was going through that, I remember hearing the girls talk about that. So it's not uncommon, but I tell them every night, like, dude, in the morning, we're going to have a great morning. We're going to wake up. We're going to work out, say our affirmations. Like, it's going to be a great drive to school, like, trying to set the right expectation. And then in the morning, it's like disaster, right? And so I'm trying to have him have an understanding, like, what you say and what you believe about what you say actually matters, And I just think people, they've gotten beat up so much in life that they, like what you said, self-fulfill their own prophecy in a negative way and set themselves up for failure because they have the wrong expectations of life, really. And
it's like you want to believe for, like, because this is what I thought about too, because, like, so we came off of a pretty big event where like, belief was like birth there, or like it was the seed of belief was water, dude. They had miracle growing.
Huge expectation.
2 days of like just success story after success story, and it's kind of like, if you want to develop a higher level belief in faith, like, the first thing is, like, get yourself around such a cloud of witnesses, right? There's so many people that have testimonies and different ethnicities, backgrounds, different traumas they've navigated through, different processes, but they've found success. You kind of have this belief of, like, I think I could do it. But sometimes belief doesn't necessarily shape expectation. I was talking to this agent, he's like, dude, I'm still struggling. Yet so many are having record-breaking weeks. And what it came down to is he's had such a massive amount of experiences that he still hasn't leveled up his expectations. It's almost like he wants the experience to change, and then he'll change his expectation, although he believes he could be successful. And when I told him, I said, dude, you got to change your expectation so your experience could change. Like, you've actually lowered your expectation to what you've experienced, so there's no gap there. You got to make sure your expectation stays high and let that expectation pull your experience, because then it changes your narrative of what you're experiencing or what you experience. So now when a client says, like, I'm not interested, you're like narrative of the way you interpret that is like, oh, they must have had a bad day.
Right.
But the next family I should definitely help because they sent in a request. Why would they not want this? Of course they want this. I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
So your expectations, I'm going to help everybody I call. Even if you don't experience it, your expectation still always stays the same.
How would you encourage someone to increase their level of expectation? Because I think one thing is you could have high expectations because you're simply naive and don't know. Right, I think about like when you get married, it's like the expectations are so high. Like the house clean every day, dinner every night. Like it's just going to be amazing because you just simply don't know. You haven't experienced anything yet, so you have these super high expectations. But what would you just say to someone like in sales that's like, man, I've had trauma and I've had a bad experience, and so it's hard for me to raise my level of expectation because I've seen it not work out over and over. Yeah. Like how do you encourage someone that's like, hey, dude, you gotta. Is it just a great cloud of witness? Is it just being in the room and seeing testimony? Like, is that how you overcome your own self-doubt?
Yeah.
Is that it? Like, what would you say to an agent or a friend or like that sees themselves in such a low posture and knows the right thing, but just simply can't walk in it?
Yeah, I think the first thing, man, is like just help them to become aware of it. Because I think oftentimes they're just not aware of it. I think you said it right, like, it becomes familiar. So, like, if let's just say, and this could be in marriage, this could be in our franchise bucket, the business, or maybe up until this point where they're stepping into a new career, their expectation is derived from what they've experienced in prior sales careers, right?
Right.
And so, when you've got an expectation that's high and your experience isn't there yet, what fills that gap is like discouragement. It could be frustration if you don't keep the right attitude and perspective, and so. What they'll do is they'll start to lower the expectation so that way they don't feel those feelings, right? So now you've kind of built this familiar house of low expectation. Although you want to have a great life, you want to have success, you want to be in a leveled up life, like the house of low expectations just feels familiar, and it almost is kind of giving you like a hedge of protection against that possible feeling of failure. Yeah. And then the feeling of failure is really not the scary part. The scary part is I'm not good enough. I'm not accepted. I'm not of value. I'm worthless. Right. And then that kind of goes down to the identity of first knowing like God didn't create crap. He's got a purpose he's got a plan that's full of purpose and hope for you, and that he's got a future that's designed that's going to be blissful and great. But that's where the faith comes in. Correct. Like you have to have the faith that even though I'm not experiencing it now, that I got no shot of a doubt that I'm going to experience it. And that's difficult to do, but it's like, I feel like it's almost trained. Like a person that wins in a lot of ways, they have this expectation that I'm going to win in whatever I do. Yeah. And so a lot of times if you feel like, man, my marriage, it's not where I need it to be, what's your expectation? Then I wonder if it's low. I wonder if your expectation in your fitness and in your faith and what God can do in your life and what in your business, is that also low? Yeah. Because I feel like
it's got to be.
I feel like oftentimes it is. I just feel like even with Parker, when she went through and had stage 4 cancer, I had a lot of fear right away. Like that was the instant emotion that I don't think anybody's not going to have. If somebody's like, no, I didn't have it, well then like teach me how you became so holy. Like I was like terrified, like but really quick my expectation started to go to like God works all things together for good. His promise is this. So my expectation started to change. Yeah. And so I started to expect a healing. Yeah. I started to expect that she was going to be good. But I think I have a positive expectation in a lot of things. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but I don't let my expectation shift down because of what I've experienced.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, your expectation then leads to the behavior, and the behaviors lead to the experience, and the experience is correlated with the expectation that you originally had. Yeah. I remember when we were getting on a flight a couple months back, and you were like, you had a different zone than me or whatever it was, and they called your zone first, and you're like, bro, it's gonna be like, I was like 8 zones behind you, and you're like, bro, let's go, we'll be fine. And I was like, dude, I'm like, I didn't really care. It's something small, but like you're like, watch. And then you went up there, and sure enough, I don't know what you said, but then the lady just let me right in. He's like, bro, you got to get your expectations the right way, But the same is true in everything in life. I think one common denominator of people you would admire or successful people was, man, they have expectations that things are going to turn out the right way. Like even if it's not that in the moment, like there's a true, sincere belief and faith that it's going to all work out together, and then they're it's not just proven by what they say, it's proven by how they live, right? And so I think if you can just and I think a lot of people can get this messed up and interpret kind of this as like name it and claim it sort of thing. Like just throw it out there and like the atmosphere is going to work it all out. Like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a true rooted identity in the right way, because if everyone had the right identity of who they actually are, which is a child of God, then we wouldn't even have to have this discussion. But because our identity gets distorted through experience, that's why we have to have expectation talks, right? And so, because if you truly believe that, how you lived would be totally different. Like I think like Donald Trump's kids, like they got a certain swag about them, or any president, right? Because like that's my dad. Like I don't expect to get stopped at the door. I don't expect to get told no. It's because of who my father is. And I think if you could have a correct identity in Christ, well, then your expectation will just naturally change. That things are not always going to work out in for what feels good in the moment, but eventually they're all going to work out for good. And because I think you said it right. Like, man, we all have feelings of fear or anxiety or temporary moments of like a lack of faith. But if we just are surrounded by the right people and can somehow anchor our faith in the right identity, well, then our expectations will, lead us to the right behaviors. And so, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's good. So good, bro. I mean, I think like as we're thinking about this, it's like this could be the very thing that will take somebody to the next level.
Yeah.
Like this is it, dude. Like,
well, I think
expectation, you just got to get your expectation right. Is it an expectation? It's like when you do the Lord's Prayer, like kingdom come, will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah.
Like God wants you to expect to have a fulfilled, fruitful life, an abundant life. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to have trials. But the problem is when people start to become their trials, when they start to like internalize their trials and they take them on, the truth is like you're going to go through those, but the expectation is like it'll work out for good. Like something good's coming from this. Good, I'm glad this happened.
Yeah.
So like the expectation isn't like, hey, when we say this, your whole life is going to be great. But for too many people, you're just living a life of like pattern and repetition because you just start to expect what you've already gotten, always gotten. You got to have this new faithful expectation of what do you hope for, and then believe because of who you are.
Yeah.
You're a child of God that you're going to get it. Because why would you not? Like I love what you said. Donald Trump's kids think that they're not going to get stopped because of who they are. Well, how much more than being a child of God that you should have? And so I think a lot of times it's almost like disrespecting your father by discrediting you because you're the merchandise of the maker.
Yeah.
And anybody that discredits the merchandise is discrediting the maker. Yeah. Like he's made you in his image. Go out there and act like it.
So good. I think a lot of it has to do with environment as well. I think like when we're starting the church, man, my expectation for what it would be was so high. But yet, like I was in an environment that said the opposite almost, but I had such a belief and expectation of what it actually could be. Therefore, my behavior like was different than my environment. And so I think that a lot of people, like even going into business, like a lot of agents will step into like insurance, and their expectation is like, oh, I'll just, I'll sell a couple of policies and I'll provide for my family. But it's like you didn't get into business thinking that. Like Joe Basso didn't get into business thinking that. He's like, I'm getting in this to take over the industry, to start a massive IMO to reach thousands of people. What's the difference? Expectations led to a different behavior, led to a different experience. Yeah. And so I just think like, man, don't base your expectation based off what you've experienced or even those necessarily around you. Like base your expectation on who God's called you to be, right? And I just think when you can anchor in that truth, like your life could literally change in a moment, because you begin to live different and love different and treat people different and talk different, simply because of expectations. So,
I love it, man. It's so good, dude. This is the stuff where it's like, it's one of those podcasts where, yes, you got some information, but I believe that this also takes some pausing, some reflecting, and asking yourself some pointed questions so this could actually make a difference in your life. The question is, what are you expecting in your faith walk? Like, what are you expecting God to do in your life? What are you expecting? Are you expecting for it to turn for good? Are you expecting the best is yet to come? Are you expecting that you got a plan and a purpose before you that's going to be so just like mind-blowing? Like, what's your expectation with faith? With your family, your marriage, like, what is your expectation with your spouse? Yeah. What's your expectation with your kids, with your fitness? What's your expectation? Like, what's your expectation with the way your body can look, the way you can, feel, the health, the vibe? Like, what is that expectation? What's your expectation with your financial situation? Are you expecting for it to be lack and scarce? Or are you expecting that, man, you're going to continue to find opportunities to build wealth, to steward wealth, to be, intentional? What does your business look like? So the question is, what is your expectation?
Very good.
In all these areas of your life? Audit it. Reflect upon it, and then ask yourself, is this the expectation that if I get what I expect, do I want that?
Yeah.
So if you're like, dude, you don't understand, like, the business, like, leads are just like this. It's like, do you want that? Well, no, I don't want that. Then stop expecting it. Well, my spouse, she's just like, they're off-putting. There's no connection. There's no physical touch, no affirmations. Is that what you want? No, but it's what I've experienced. But do you want that? Well, no. Then stop expecting it. Expect kindness and just servant's heart and love and gentleness and sacrifice. Like, expect that. Like, what do you expect in like your faith? Well, I don't know. Like,
whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, it's like, well, dude, is that what you want?
Right.
Oh, no. Well, stop expecting it.
Right.
And so I just think this is a great time to sit back and say, what do I expect? Does my expectation line up with the life I actually want to live?
Very good. Very good. Well, dude, I expected big things out of this podcast, and I got it from you, bro. I got it.
I got it from you, bro. Hey, and by the way, just so you know, the best podcast we have is when we step in and say, hey, what should we talk about? We're like, well, let's talk about expectation. Let's go. And then we just let flow. And that's because we got the Holy Spirit, the higher level. The last thing I'd say is this. I thought it was important. Like, a lot of times we're always concerned, and this is kind of not necessarily tied to the topic, but I just heard this and I thought it was so good. It's like we're so concerned with what other people think about us that our expectation and even like our behavior is about like just, well, I know I want this in my life, but what would they think? Yeah. And it was this thought of like, you got to care less about what people think. Yeah. And care more about how to serve them. Very good. And it's just an interesting way to look at it. Like, I don't care about what you think about me or anything like that. I just care about how can I provide you value. Yeah. Right. And like that's what I want to do. And so I think today, for one, when we step in and we have that thought, which we do, yeah, or else this would have fallen apart because there wasn't like a ton of like, spend 2 hours planning about an expectation talk. When we work from that thought, it allows the Holy Spirit to work because it gives us an elevated level of us, which is it's not about what people think about us. Right. It's about how can we value you. And when we think about that, then the Holy Spirit's able to work because he works through a vessel that wants to provide value to more people. And so thanks for what happened, bro. That's a great thought. Wasn't my thought. I just heard it and I thought it was good. I just tied a little bit more faith into it. When I hear stuff, I see it through the faith lens. But all right, guys, hey, we love you. Make it a big week. Stay strong. Be steadfast. And we'll talk to you next week. God bless you.